Hello.
Hello, Geshe.
Hi, Geshe.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Geshe.
No, we're all unmuted.
Hello, Geshe.
Hello.
Where's
Yeah.
Geshe?
Hello.
Hello. Mr. John, Cindy.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you.
Good, good, good.
And how all your monks?
It's all right. Last 3-4 weeks, we don't have any new cases, so it's okay.
Good.
Oh,
Hello, hello, hello,
hello.
Ken,
Hello.
Rinpoche. Hello, yes, Celeste.
Oh,
Hi,
Yildiz.
Long time.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Tashidele. Tashidele.
Yeah, Bashidele.
Tashidele.
Tashidele. Oh, yeah. Hello. Hello. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the cases are dropping in India?
Sorry, say again.
Was the question, how's it going with the COVID in India? Because we've been saying it here.
I mean, Sarah, the monastery where I am, so far it's okay. But as a whole India, it is difficult to say. Very, very difficult to say.
So we need to dedicate more our praise.
Yeah, because we're not easy to get a accurate information. So I really don't know what's really going on in all over the India. But the monastery where I am, so far, well, fingers crossed, so far it's okay. Good. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Geshe, will you do a full hour and a bit today, or do you think you might?
Yes, I will finish by we will do an hour 15 minutes class, so I will end promptly this time Indian time 8:30 8:15. Okay. So what UK time now is approaching 1:30, so 2:15 or not 2:15, is it? Yeah, anyway.
2:30.
Yeah.
And it'll be 2:30.
So we will do all together hour and 15 minutes. Hour and 15 minutes.
I just thought I'd check and make sure.
Yeah.
You thought you might do questions and answers, but you had to not do that this week.
Yeah, because I have this appointment from Canada, so I have to join them on time. Yeah, that is their time at 10 in the morning. Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Geshe from Malaysia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. From
Hello,
Malaysia.
see you again.
Yes.
Steve, I can't get in at the moment. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, Devang. Oh yeah. Thank you.
It's not allowing me to get in. I can hear you.
Oh, you're here?
Yes, I can see
We can see you.
We can see you.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is waiting. This is
Hello,
waiting.
Sue.
My
Hello,
end.
Sue.
Okay.
Hi, Grace.
Hi.
I can't see Geshe. I don't know what's happened. No.
Oh.
No. It just says I'm waiting. So I am waiting. Yes.
You refresh your screen.
I can see you from Sweden.
Yeah. No, I'll go out and in again. Okay. I'll see if I can.
Okay.
I missed it. It's birthday.
Listen.
Hello, Alison.
Hello, I can't see everybody. I don't know who's saying hello, but
Oh,
hello.
yeah.
Oh, Alison.
Is that Estelle?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
hi.
on a different
Yes.
I
screen
can't see
from you.
everybody. Yeah, I can't see everybody.
Put it on gallery.
Sandra?
Hello.
Even so, you have to switch it on.
Gallery view. You can see more people at once.
Hello,
You have
everyone
to
else.
move the whole screen to one side or the other.
Mine doesn't. No, mine
Oh,
doesn't do that.
Devam, there you are. I can see you now.
I've got in. I don't know what happened. I had to get out and get in again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, Steve.
Hi, Sue.
Yeah.
That's right.
Still another 5 minutes.
Undi.
I can very good for myself. Actually.
Hooray!
That's true. How do you do this?
Oh, where's that secret again?
Oh.
Geshe. Yes, Geshe. Oh, no, it's just weird.
Well, we're still getting that.
Hello, Di.
Yeah, how was your birthday? 30 seconds or something long. Hear me, Cynthia?
What difference? No.
Cynthia's birthday.
Yeah.
2 days ago or something. She's nearly an old lady, but not as old as me. This is a bit like a seance, isn't it? Like we all sit here, these voices come out of the ether that you've not seen forever.
Oh,
no! Come in and go out again.
I've gone completely.
And they're not necessarily connected to the picture of the person that you can see.
Where's John? Hello. Sandra.
Here I am. Where are you? I can't see you.
Hello, I'm here.
Which page? Oh, hello.
I've got to go and listen on Facebook for a little while because I've got to do Mum's breakfast.
Aww.
Breakfast? Did you say
Hang around
breakfast?
for a little while.
What time zone?
Yeah.
Yes. I know that problem. Lunch and breakfast get given as a single meal to my father.
Exactly.
Bless you.
Yeah. It's been one of those mornings. Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad you understand, Ruth.
Yes, fully. Completely. Once I felt guilty because I discovered it was 2:45 and I hadn't noticed that breakfast should have been had some time ago.
Yeah. That's the world we live in too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So originally I thought we will do today a question and answer, but because of the, I need to leave a little bit earlier than the schedule, so we will do a question and answer session next week. And I was told so far we have 3 or 4 questions, and the people who like to, share your thoughts. So far, what we have, the verses that we have read, and also what I have said while we are reading the verses. People who have questions, you can send to the administrators. Then next Sunday, we will have a question and answer session. At the end of the session, we'll have a good question and answer session. So that is what we are going to do. Now, we are going to start. We will start the session with the reciting the 4 lines. First 2 lines, refuge, and next 2 lines, cultivation of bodhicitta, the altruistic awakened mind, as a part of training ourselves, familiarizing ourselves, the importance of having positive and constructive motivation or intention at the beginning of the day, at the beginning of the any particular event that we participate with our body, speech, and mind. So the as I'm sure most of you know this, and not only know, I'm sure you do this in a regular basis. Holding the mind, taking refuge in 3 jewels. As a follower of the teachings of the Buddha, that is really useful and helpful to do. And also, cultivating, enhancing the altruistic awakened mind, bodhicitta, as a follower of the bodhisattva teachings, Mahayana teachings, and also the Vajrayana teachings. And so recitation should not be just mere reciting the lines, but while we are reciting the lines, as I mentioned the other last Sunday, to really deeply and strongly recall the qualities of the 3 jewels, and also to deeply, strongly, reflect on the nature of this unenlightened existence that we are, and then to take refuge in 3 jewels. Take refuge in Buddha as a one's own teacher or mentor, and take refuge in Dhamma as a actual means and methods to be applied in our daily lives, to be experienced, actualized, and take refuge in Sangha as our spiritual friends, supporters, and hold that mind, every now and then in the morning, during the day, even if it is very short moment, it is useful to hold that mind. And then, the second, that is the altruistic awakened mind. As I mentioned last Sunday, ideally not leave it, not keep in a stage of just pure aspiration to have this mind, not just in a pure form of prayer, but really, structurally, systematically, apply some of those techniques used by those great masters like Shantideva, in his guide to the bodhisattva way of life, clearly explained the technique, equalizing and exchanging oneself with others. So really, the day by day, week by week, month after month, bit by bit, to really, consolidate or make sure our cultivation of bodhicitta really goes deeper and more sort of what's called real, not just pure form of prayer. So for that purpose, every gathering we do this at the beginning of the session. So it seems that my screen, Peter and Trey, is frozen. Peter is still holding his fingers like this. I don't know what happened. Can you hear me, Peter and Trey?
It's all good.
It's all working fine.
Okay. So now we are going to say the refuge and the bodhicitta lines 3 times. Sanje cheda soje chonamba chanju pado dane japsoje dage jen soje be chonamaje dola penje sanje sanje cheda soje chonamba chanju pado dane japsoje dage jen soje be chonamaje dola penje sanje doba sanje cheda soje chona chanjo pado dane yapsoje dage chen soje be chona je dola penje sanje doba sho. Oh, yeah. Now we will do a short silent meditation. As you know, the purpose of this meditation is really simply to familiarize ourselves, to have a calm, clear, and focused mind. Our general states of mind is in that kind of quality, calm in the sense not easily distracted by the external or internal affairs, and clear clarity in the sense fully alert, fully aware of the present moment right here and now. So we'll do a short silent meditation. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. You may have heard my friends, noise of my friends, that I'm referring to dogs barking. So they are very good friends of mine because they give me the opportunity to practice my patience. And now I've been here a little bit longer than 2.5 years, and still I haven't get used to this dog barkings because there are so many dogs. One started, bark or, say whatever noise they make, then all other joins together. And it's very interesting when they join, because they are in a different territories. They are not all in one place. They are in different territories. And when started in one end, then it goes one street to the next street and next street. So you can hear that almost, sometimes 2-3 minutes with that, and have so many different what's called the sounds. And they are not, the barkings are not all the same. So it's quite interesting. Okay, now. So I need to accept their barking because they are part of, sentient beings like myself. So I don't know why they are barking or howling, but yeah. Anyway, so we are reading this beautiful prayer, King of Prayer, and attributed to the Buddha, and actually, expressed by the bodhisattva Samantabhadra, which is really beautiful prayer to read, and to read with the understanding of the meaning of the prayer verses, which is really useful. So for that purpose, we are going through the lines and to understand a little bit of, deeper behind the words, behind the lines, and so that's what we are doing. And our reading is, the prayer itself is divided into 3 parts. We are reading the first part, that is, the 7 preliminaries for purifying the mind. That's what, this translator put it in as a heading. And we finished our reading up to end of verse 8. End of verse 8. And in terms of the practice, we finished first 3 practices. That is offering prostrations, making offerings, and confessing the negativities. And I have suggested, to perform or to do this practice, with the strong and the clear, the imagination of the presence of all the Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and all those great teachers, in front of us, and filled the entire space with all the great qualities, fully awakened mind, love, compassion, altruism, and so on and so forth. And that is really each, when we perform these 7 practices, it is good to perform or engage with the practice, creating that kind of atmosphere, that kind of strong, clear atmosphere of presence of all those great beings. So the Also, it is important and helpful, to, for example, the last Sunday's, our main reading was confessing the negativities. In that context, the importance of having those technically called 4 powers. Power of foundation, power of regret or remorse, power of remedy, antidotes, and the power of determination or the commitment not to going to act the same unwholesome actions again, and really have those factors while we are performing the what you call the purification, either recitation with the Vajrasattva mantra, Akshobhya mantra, 35 Buddhas, the names, whatever, with the prostrations, but having those, the 4 powers, is the key factor. So important to remember. Also, when we make offerings, as I mentioned, either in actual offerings or the offerings that we visualize, have a clear, strong mind of understanding of their, the fundamental nature, that is absence or empty of any form of, intrinsic or independent or in and of themselves as an offerings. Although they may have beautiful colors, shapes, smells, and so on and so forth, they're all, come into being, come into existence, dependent on many causes and conditions, not in and of themselves. And also ourselves as a, the person or practitioner making offerings is also in that kind of nature. And also Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, those great teachers, whom that we make offerings, also, in that kind of nature of absence or empty of intrinsic or inherent. So these are some important, some of the important sort of what you call the, the understandings or the understandings to have while performing. So today our reading will start from verse 9. In terms of the practice, out of the 7, here put it rejoicing. So as you know, the here rejoicing, or sometimes translated appreciation, in Tibetan Jesu Yirangwa, and that is in Tibetan Jesu Yirangwa. So the purpose of this practice, really the 2 things. The first of all, rejoicing the virtues, wholesome, that good qualities, that other people have and have done, and genuinely, sincerely appreciating, rejoicing, appreciation in the sense, sincerely feel amazing that they are able to do this, the virtue, these virtues, these wholesome, like the cultivation of bodhicitta or any form of virtues, wholesome, good And the purpose of that is really to deal with one of our painful afflictions or the delusions, that is negative pride, negative pride, arrogant, arrogant, which is a very painful emotion, that unable to accept others' good qualities, even if it is nothing, very small things, unable to accept, immediately, deep, consciously or subconsciously, have some sort of competitive nature, some sort of, So that is one of the reasons to do the, to have this practice. And also, here, rejoicing one's own virtues, one's own good things, one's own those good qualities. Lama Tsongkhapa clearly mentioned in his short autobiography, in a form of verses. Kebarangi munje gewala lomsim telwe kawa chegena munche gewa kongdo peloshe gawe sungbe 20 drupcheta. So kebarangi munche gewala, that means especially the virtues and the wholesome deeds that you have done, that you have created, in the past, without any lomsim, this Tibetan word lomsim. Lomsim, literally lomba. It literally means you feel you are something important, you are something big, you are something better or higher, more important than others. And that is in Tibetan word lomsim. Sim is the what you call the mind. Lombe sem, that in English you may have this expression popped up, that kind of so without that kind of the negative pride or arrogant mind, and to have a strong, genuine sense of rejoice that what you are able to do, and gawa, that means joy, without any pride, negative pride, with the great joy. If you do that, the Buddhas and those great teachers have said, your virtues will increase. Your virtues will increase. And that's what the Lama Tsongkhapa clearly mentioned. And also there are many other quotations. So this is, if we are sincerely, genuinely, able to appreciate our own wholesome deeds, like cultivation of bodhicitta, cultivation of love, altruism, compassion, or some small things to give into others, with a good heart. When we are able to do that and acknowledge that being able to do that without any negative pride, that acknowledgement will help us to do again, to do the similar things again. And that is also another purpose of having engaging this rejoicing practice. So that's the purpose. So first I will read in Tibetan the verse. Chogyu Gyawa Kunda Sanje Se Rangye Namda Loptang Meloptang Jowa Kunji Sunam Kanglayang Teda Kunji Jeso Dagirang So that is the Tibetan, the Tibetan first line in Tibetan, Chokju Jawagunda Sanje Se. Chokju, that means literally, it means we have seen this before, the 10 directions, or in other words, all the entire universe. Chokju Jawakun, all the victorious one, all the Buddhas. Sanje Se, Sanje, Buddha Se, or the sons or the daughters, and that refers to the bodhisattvas. Then the next line, Rangyal, that is in here, in English translation, that is in line 3, Patyaka Buddhas, in the followers of the historical Buddhas. The follower of the historical Buddhas, they are bodhisattvas, they are in Tibetan, it is called Nyentu. Literally, it means, listener or hearer. And Rangyal, it is mentioned in here. And Patyaka Buddhas, that is put it as the Sanskrit terms, and quite often translated in English, solitude realizers. These are these two, the listeners and the solitude realizers. These are the followers of the Buddhas, like Shariputra, Monkalaputras, those, the followers of, individual liberation seekers. And that's what here, Rangyal Namta, Loptang, Miloptang, Lopa, that is, as I just mentioned, hearers or listeners. So now if we read in English, with a heart full of delight, this is what in Tibetan, in the last line, Jesu Yirangwa, the heart full of delight, delight, rejoice, yeah. I rejoice at all the merits, all the good qualities. And this shouldn't be, as we will see later. And the good qualities shouldn't be only those Buddhas, bodhisattvas, those teachers, that we have great admiration, but good qualities of all the beings. All the beings have some form of good qualities, even within the human beings who have very unfortunate characters, unfortunate natures. They have a little bit good qualities we will see here and there. So therefore, able to acknowledge that. You can see, Patyaka Buddhas in third line, those in the trainings refers to, the listeners. Also, it refers to us. We are also training. And Arhat refers to those people who have free from suffering and origins of suffering, or free from dukkha, or free from, under the power of delusions and negative karma, yet not fully enlightened beings. That is Arhat, beyond training. And all living beings throughout entire universe. And that is really important, that, and every living beings, that is really important words. Our human nature, we are easily able to accept, good qualities of those beings whom we think they are something, they have all those good qualities, but we have difficulty to accept good qualities of the people or the beings that we have difficulties. That we have difficulties. In reality, all those peoples, as I just mentioned, have some form of good qualities, and particularly from the Mahayana, the teachings point of view, all living creatures have Buddha nature. The seeds of the Buddha is there, and that is amazing quality, isn't it? So that's really something important to do that. So every living beings throughout entire universe. So this is something we will come across here in this prayer and some of the bodhisattvas' prayers. Praying huge something. Sometimes we cannot fathom, we cannot imagine why they are making that kind of inconceivable, unimaginable things. But it is training the mind, training our mind to have this kind of so it says throughout the universe. So that is the fourth practice, that is rejoicing. And as I mentioned, the purpose are the two things. First, to deal with our this unhealthy behavior, unhealthy mental states, which is unable to accept the good qualities of the others. Really to deal with that mind through recognizing, acknowledging, understanding good qualities of all those great beings, and in fact all living beings that have. And another purpose is the acknowledging, appreciating one's own those good qualities. And no doubt we all have the good qualities. And that sometimes we may feel what you call to express or to acknowledge our development in the spiritual journey. We may feel embarrassed, we may feel difficult, and that is not very helpful. Without arrogant mind, without negative pride, it is important to acknowledge. It is important to understand our progress in the spiritual journey. Even just able to say some of these nice prayers, beautiful prayers for the sake of others, that is good quality. Not that easy to say those nice prayers. And also doing some meditations, at least, all of us are working very hard to really make progress and to acknowledge that. And by acknowledging that, it will help us to continue to do that. So that is rejoicing. So then the next, the what you call the practice, that is the verse 10, the requesting the Buddhas or requesting to the teachers to turn the wheel of Dharma. In other words, to teach us. And that is really important part of our our spiritual journey. Of course, eventually the journey should be made by ourselves. We ourselves need to work to enhance these good qualities, to reduce, to eliminate those unwholesome thoughts, emotions, and deeds. We need to do it by ourselves. Buddhas, bodhisattvas, those great teachers, no matter how compassionate they are, no matter how desperate they are to want to help us, but actual work should need to be done ourselves. And this, many of you know, Buddha had stated many times, Tumnam Dikpa Chui Mitushin, Doe Dunge Chaki Misela, Niki Tokwa Shenla Pominu, Chuni Dembatembe, Tolwakyu. I think that is in the Dhammapada, I think. So, the Tumnam Dikpa Chui Mitushin. So the Buddhas or the Buddhas cannot wash sentient beings, those what you call the delusions, afflictions, by pouring water and washing them away. They cannot do that. Tumnam Dikpa Chui Mitushin. Doe Dunge Chaki Misela. Similarly, they cannot, Buddhas cannot, dispel or take away living beings suffering by their hands. Niki Tokwa Shenla Pominu. Similar ways, similarly, and Buddhas, those great realizations, their own realizations cannot be transferred to the living beings. Then what Buddha can do, what the Buddhas can do, what those great teachers can do, the last line, and that is what the answer. Chuni Demba Dembe Tolwakyu. Simply showing the truth, the truth in a certain extent, the Four Noble Truths. Simply showing the Four Noble Truths, and simply, showing, explaining the fundamental nature of the things and events and the minds. Through that, and Buddha can. So that is really something important. And in here, this practice number 5 for us, when we are requesting directly or in our prayer, it is really useful, helpful to do this, to request. Even though the teachers, those Buddhas, are not, what you call physically not in front of us, but in our, as I mentioned earlier, in the visualization, to really make that request. What that will do, that will create the causes. That will, the sort of create the causes, not just, sometime in, in the future. If we do this again and again, that may help us, to encourage ourselves when the teachings are given, when the teachings are, taught, we are sort of able to do, able to participate, able to receive. And that is what here, very important practice. And also, when of course we all have our, particular needs of teachings here and there, here and there. And that is understandable, I remember very clearly when I was in London, I go to my, weekly shopping, as I complain this very often. There are so many choices. There are so many choices in those, the shelves. And so, they know we are very selective beings. We are very selective beings, so we select different things. So yes, even if we do this in our requesting the teachings, but it is good to have saying the teachings that really not just not just here and now that I need this and this and this teachings, but from here to until me to experience the fully awakened mind. Not just myself, but that all living beings, all living creatures, from here to until attain enlightenment. Those Buddhas, bodhisattvas, teachers to turn the Dharma wheel. And that's what here important to think. So I'll read in Tibetan first. Kangnam chuju jikden domanam changjuk rinpa sanje machanye gombo teta daki tamjela kololana meba korwa kul kololana meba korwa kul. So that is in Tibetan. So here in the first line when it says you who are like beacons of light shining through the worlds. So Dharma in Tibetan, beacons, here they're translated, lights, in other words. So why it is, important to have that, what you call that kind of analogies or light or beacons, because elimination of greed, hatred, anger, jealousy, ignorance, from our mental continuum. It is through with the wisdom, love, compassion, altruism, through cultivating these. So these are the light, here beacons. And, when you have this kind of very powerful light that really, clear away the darkness. And that is what here talking about. Our current, states of mind. Although we have many, many good states of mind, degree of love, degree of compassion, degree of altruism, tolerance, rejoicing, we have those. But at the same time, those unhealthy mental states are also there. And particularly in terms of the strength, these are stronger. These unhealthy mental states are stronger in the sense they are very, spontaneous, very effortlessly occurs. These wholesome mental states need lots of efforts to us to experience. So that's what here, so therefore, this, what you call the, Chokju, and also here, as I mentioned earlier, it is not just one's own, those unhealthy mental states, those unhealthy, or the darkness mental states need to be dispelled, need to be, eliminated. But thinking about that, these unhealthy mental states of all living beings need to be eliminated, need to be, clear aware by the, the teachings given by those Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. And that's what here beacons of light shining through the worlds. Shining through the worlds, it is not talking about the physical worlds. it is talking about through the all living creatures, through the all living beings. And that's what this word through the worlds is explaining that. And the next line in English, who passed through the stages of enlightenment to attain Buddhahood, freedom for all attachment. And this is referring to that whom that we are requesting, to turn the Dhamma wheel, to teach us, to teach us the profound and extensive teachings. In Tibetan, Sabatang Gyachewa. So in the last line in Tibetan, it says, in English also it says, turn the unsurpassable will of Dhamma. Unsurpassable in Tibetan, called Lana Meba, unsurpassable. Unsurpassable in the sense, those profound teachings. The teachings, profound in the sense, teachings which really, help us to tackle the root of the sufferings. The profound in that sense. For example, teachings on emptiness. Teachings on emptiness. When we listen the teachings on emptiness, and through listening, then later to contemplate, to meditate, and those contemplation, meditation will go to really tackle the root of the suffering. That is fundamental ignorance. And that is what here, profound teachings referring to. Profound in that sense. Profound doesn't mean something simply, we don't understand, and that means it is profound. Or, profound doesn't mean some of those, mathematicians, when they do this, the mathematics, numbers, and something we, ordinary people can't fathom what those numbers represent. I mean, they are profound in certain extents, but here profound refers to those teachings really take us to tackle the root of the sufferings. And that's what here, the profound. And also Sabatam, Gyachewa, extensive, not just one part here, a little bit here, little bit there, not in that fashion. Really detailed. And it is very interesting, when we look at the teachings that given by the Buddha, as the Buddha himself stated on many occasions, his teachings are given according to the listeners or the followers' mental dispositions. Not simply this teaching is profound, this is the right. Teachings are not given in that form. Teachings are given according to the listeners or the followers' mental dispositions. And that means very variety, very detailed and extensive. And that's what here talking about unsurpassable, the will of Dhamma. So, and this practice is very, very useful practice to do. In the Tibetan tradition, this practice is done very often with the mandala offerings, holding in your hands this mandala, or holding in your hands something in your hands, then say the lines, or mentally to think, and then to request the teachings, to turn the Dhamma wheels. And it is not just to me. Things as prayer itself, verse itself clearly stated, to all living beings, to benefit to all living beings. And that is a very important one. So then the next practice, that is practice number 6, which is, requesting the Buddhas not to enter nirvana. That is, requesting those Buddhas, those great teachers who are alive with us, requesting them to stay with us for long time. So what is the benefit? What is the benefit, of making this practice, engaging this practice? And, as we know the nature of dependent arising, dependent origination, all things and events evolve, come into being through the interaction with the interaction between different things. And it is also in here, those great teachers who are with us, we should have a strong, make prayer or request directly or indirectly to live long time. And more teachers, more these kind of great teachers like His Holiness Dalai Lamas and many others, are with us, we will learn more. More people can learn how to practice these, useful practices. And so that is really an important one. And here, first I will read in Tibetan. Nyange dadun kangshe tedagla drowa kunla pension dewe chir gyaba shingi tuni shubayang dage temuracho sarwa ki. So, saying that in English, joining my palms together, which is in Tibetan in the last, more or less last line, I pray. To you who intend to pass into nirvana, who intend, and this word is quite important one, who intend, or in Tibetan it says, who are sort of, going to show us, this, passing into nirvana. Intend, not necessarily, the Buddhas or those great beings deliberately intend to enter into nirvana or enter into pass away. The intent here has a meaning of, in reality, these enlightened beings, they are enlightened, they are free from, what's called the birth, aging, sickness, and death. But for us, for ordinary people, to us, these enlightened beings, show us or appear to us. They have birth, they have aging, they have sickness, they have death. So this intent refers to that. They may going to show us, passing away or enter into nirvana. Intent passed into nirvana. Remain. Now, these next lines are quite important. Remain for eons as many as the atoms of this world. So, although, in our real world, recently I read an article, somewhere in Japan, the oldest lady in the world passed away, some 118 years or 119 years old. So that's, they talk about a record. So yes, in our, ordinary beings appear, in how things appear to us, that is how it is. But these enlightened beings, they don't, in reality, they don't have that kind of process. But so therefore here requesting, not just saying as long as you can, it is saying here, as eons, as many as the atoms in this world. So that might be numberless. We cannot fathom the numbers. So, but it is when I read the commentaries here and the other commentaries, it is important for us, our minds, this ordinary minds, ordinariness, sense of ordinariness, or very much clinged on, very much hold on the appearances, unable to go beyond the appearances. Sometimes it is good to have these kind of, the mental states, and bring well-beings and happiness. So for what purpose? For what purpose those that we are requesting those enlightened beings not to show, not to intend, to pass into nirvana. The purpose is for the well-beings of all living beings. That is the purpose. In Tibetan, it is in the second line. Dowa gunla penshin devichil. So Pemba Dewa in Tibetan. Here, well-beings and happiness, that is translated in here. So in the commentary, it has a well-beings and happiness, well-beings in the sense immediate, be free from those gross sufferings, immediate what we need, and immediately what living beings need to be free from some of those gross difficulties. But in the long term, what living beings need, they need complete liberation from suffering and the origins of suffering. They need to experience the full enlightenment, and that is, here translated happiness. This word happiness is very interesting word, but but in Tibetan here, ngonto tanelek, ngonto, ngombartoa. That means, what you call the fortunate rebirth. Ngelik, never lekpa. That means, the definite, what you call the, fortunate, definite, the what you call the joys, definite joys. So like that, it is talking about, so here the well-beings and happiness is translated onto the nelek, or the, doa kona pension dewa, pembata dewa. So that is number 6. We have finished. Now the last out of the 7, the last verse number 12. Verse number 12, that is the last, what you call the practice out of 7, that is dedication. So dedication, the purpose of dedication is clearly stated in the sutras and in the other teachings. The purpose of the dedication is in two ways. The first, really able to share your one's own those wholesome deeds, and the result of those wholesome deeds, able to share to all living beings, and that is really extending our good heart. It is not just saying my virtues, the consequences of my virtues is just for my own future. my own future well-being, not thinking in that way, thinking that, the whatever virtues, no matter how small that might be, I will dedicate the virtue itself and the consequences or the result of those virtues to all well-beings of all living beings. And, not just for their temporary, benefit, but also long-term benefits. Training our mind in that way really helps to reduce our grasping, our egoistic mind, self-centered mind, able to share to others. And another purpose of making dedication is to really, the virtues, wholesome that we have done, to really, without any sense of loss, without any sense of grasping, to really purely, completely dedicate for the well-beings of all living beings. If we do that, then it is clearly stated in the sutras, and as some of you who are familiar with the, the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, in the 6th chapter, the chapter where, Shantideva explains patience, if we dedicate all our virtues and their consequences for the well-beings of all living beings, then, in the later, when anger and jealousy and envy, when they occur, they are unable to destroy the results of those the virtues, because we 100% wholeheartedly we dedicate it to the others. Therefore, it's not any longer ours. So these are some of the benefits that is stated in the sutras. So very, very useful. So I'll read this verse. This verse is quite straightforward. Changze wadam chujing shapatang jeso yirang kulshin sowayi gewa jungse dagi jisakwa tamje dagi changju chirungo. Saying, the previous 6 practices that I have done, no matter how small, no matter how little that might be, or other virtues, such as prostrations and so on and so forth, and saying I dedicate to enlightenment of all beings. Very, very nice to do. So that is the last practice out of the 7. So this is the out of the what you call the 3 parts. The first part, that is the preparation, bodhisattva, the part of the preparation to do the bodhisattva Samantabhadra's prayer. So that's what we have done. So now we will. I'm going to stop here our reading. So next Sunday we will start from the actual for the the aspiration attitude. So we'll start from there. So I'm rushing a little bit today. Now we'll do our dedication, and as you know, we'll do the 21 para prayers, and then 3 verses. As we all know, and this is the part of the dedication, we have just read this last verse, and it is same for that purpose. Om Jetsun Om Jetsun Pamadromala Chase Chanze Droma Nyuma Pama Chene Keji Lodan Jam, Jigden Sumgun Chuji Sheji, Kesa Chiwa Lene Jom, Chanze Donge Dawa Gundo, Kawa Jene Zibe Shem, Kama Donda Soba Namanji, Rato Cheve Rambaram, Chanze Semu Chune Jeje, Peme Chane Nabara Jem, Jimba Zundu Kato Shewa, Soba Samden Ju Nyema, Chanze Tishin Shebe Zoto, Tae Nabara Jawa Chema, Malu Paru Jimba Tobe, Jawe Seji Shindu Dema, Chanze Duda Rahun Ye, Duda Choda Namga Kama, Chite Dumbo Shabji Nende, Luba Meba Guba Numa, Chanze Jajin Mela Tsamba, Lungla Nazo Wanju Chema, Chombo Rola Jisa Namanda, Nujun Soji Dune Dema, Chanze Teje Chadang Peji, Paru Chugu Rabdo Joma, Egon Yuan Shabji Nende, Mabara Chuba Shindo Parama, Chanze Turi Jiba Chambo, Digi Pao Nabara Joma, Chuji Shene Choni Denze, Tao Tamje Malu Sema, Chanze Kunjo Sumze Chai, Seme Toga Nabara Jema, Malu Choji Kolo Jembe, Rangi Veji Sonama Chema, Chanze Rabdo Kawa Jebe, Ujin Veji Chenwa Bema, Sheba Rabshi Doda Rai, Dudan Jikden Wando Zema, Chanze Sashi Jongwe Chona, Tamje Guba Numa Nyema, Chonye Yewa Yige Honge, Pumba Tamje Nabara Joma, Chanze Dave Dombo Ode, Gemba Tamje Shindo Parama, Rebe Chene Weba Mele, Dabara Shindo Rava Zema, Chanze Kebe Tama Meda, Bare Tenwe Une Nema, Yejan Yungu Kune Koke, Dae Bune Nabara Choma, Chanze Sashi Ngola Chage, Teje Nujin Shaki Toma, Choni Jenze Ige Honge, Remba Dumbo Namne Gema, Chanze Dema Gema Shema, Nyangen Deshin Ju Nyema, Soa Omda Yangda Dembe, Deba Chembo Jomba Nyema, Chanze Gune Korova Gave, Jaye Lune Nambara Gema, Ige Jube Ngani Kwebe, Rikpa Hongle Joma Nyema, Chanze Turi Shamne Dabe, Honge Nambe Sabun Nyema, Rera Menta Radang Beche, Jikden Sumna Yewa Nyema, Chanze Hai Zoe Nambe, Rita Dajin Chana Nama, Tara Niju Pege Yege, Duna Malu Pane Sema, Chanze Hai Chonama Jebo, Tada Mem Ji Dema, Gune Goja Gawa Jeje, Zeda Melama Ngemba Sema, Chanze Nima Dawa Jebe, Jini Bola Rava Sema, Hara Niju Duda Rai, Shindo Chagwe Rimne Sema, Chanze Tini Sumnam Gwebe, She Tudan Yanda Dema, Dudan Rona Nujun Sona, Chomba Dure Rapcho Nyema, Zare Ngati Deba Deta, Chanze Wane Nishu Zaje. Gewa de Gewo Gun, Sonama Yeshe Sozo Shin, Sonama Yeshe Lechon Ven, Tamba Kuni Tobara Sho, Chanjo Semjo Rembo Che, Maje Panama Che Juro Che, Jeba Nyamba Meba Yang, Kongne Kongdo Pewa Jo. Kare Rave Korve Shingamade, Endan Dewa Malu Jungene, Chere Sewa Tenzin Gyazo Ye, Shabe Side Pando, Tenjoro che. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you. I will see you next Sunday.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Geshe.
I'm a little bit rushing today, and I will see you
That's
next
good.
Sunday.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Geshe-la.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
Geshe-la.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Geshe-la.
Geshe-la.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Geshe-la.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Geshe-la.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Geshe.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Geshe-la.
you. Bye, Geshe-la. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter and Tree.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Bye, Robin.